Attention, you're listening to The Todd Huff Show, America's home for conservative, not bitter talk and education. Be advised, the content of this program has been documented to prevent and even cure liberalism, and listening may cause you to lean to the right. And now, coming to you from the Full Suite Wealth Studios, here's your conservative but not bitter host, Todd Huff.
Well, my friends, I hope you had a wonderful Father's Day weekend. I certainly did. It's a pleasure to be back here with you on this Monday, getting towards the end of June, almost halfway through the calendar year. It is, my goodness, it is incredibly it's just amazing how fast time goes. And so, but it's good to be back here, and happy Father's Day. I did not say that on Friday. You know, I just, you get into the midst of talking about the issues of the day and what's going on out there, and I just overlooked mentioning, wishing you all a happy Father's Day, and I hope you did have one. So, I want to, today, I've just a brief history on this program. I want to share some things that I've learned. I want to explain some things as we have been reaching different people. I started this program August 10th, 2015. And it started as a podcast. And for those who may not know, who want a little bit of trivia here about this program, it was originally called The Antidote to Liberalism. The antidote to liberalism is, of course, the truth and reality. That's what we seek to bring here every day. We help people hear and receive truth. So I began podcasting in my wife's closet in the bedroom. I used to say my wife's bedroom closet. People would look at me funny when I said it, and I realized that they interpreted that to mean that she had a different bedroom. No, what that was intended to mean was that she had a closet in her own closet in our shared bedroom. But nonetheless, that's where we started this podcast, August 12th, 2015. So we'll be celebrating here in about 2 months, or a little bit less than that, our 11th anniversary. In 2016, just about a month before the 2016 vote, 2016 election day, we were on the radio here. Well, I say here, we're on lots of stations now, but in Indianapolis. And we have spent most of our efforts growing on radio. I've had challenges on social media, but I'll tell you here, in the past, very recently, our Facebook page is, by percentages, growing massively, very, very quickly. We didn't do a lot there, but now we are. We're putting out reels, clips from the program every day, and we're reaching a lot of new people. A lot of people who, of course, hate me, hate everything that I stand for, want to call me. I tell you what, if you want some entertainment, this does not hurt my feelings at all. Just go and read some of the comments. It's the Todd Huff Show page on Facebook. Read some of the comments about some of the things that people say. I don't read at this particular point. We've had one video go fairly viral, and I obviously you once that happens, you can't possibly read a percentage of the comments, and I don't pretend like I do. That's why the best way to get me is through email, todd@toddhuffshow.com, or if you want to text me directly, which you can, 317-785-1030 with your thoughts and questions and all that. But anyway, what I want to do today is I want to talk about some of the things that I have seen in these comments. It is remarkable to me how intentionally dense people have chosen to become. I am blown away. And I feel like I'm a guy who knows, who has a pretty good finger on the pulse of where society is. I'm still blown away by some of the stupid and ridiculous things that I hear. And I want to talk about this not because it's just something that's on my mind, because there's actually a lot of reasons for this, and I'll get to them in due course here. Just if you can hang with me, I'll explain and articulate the bigger picture here. What's on my mind, what is something that is paramount to me, is that we win this, what I call this cold civil war that's brewing here in the United States of America. And I've got some news on that as well. But anyway, the point here is that I just want to talk about some of these things to explain, because we may have people who have tuned into this program now who literally have no context about truth. They've been living in the fantasy world where liberal propaganda, leftist propaganda is what they consume every day. They've abdicated their responsibility to think for themselves. They've lost their ability, maybe they never had the ability, to interpret hyperbole and exaggeration, not as deceitful information, but to illustrate the point for just how bad things have gotten. I can't believe how literal some of these people are. It is unbelievable to me. And I just want to share some of these things because I think that you have these people in your life as well. They're probably not a bunch of close friends, but they're somewhere. They are in your children's sports leagues, or in the band parents, or they are in the classroom. They're maybe an administrator, maybe in the workplace. There's somebody, maybe a lot of somebodies in your life. And I just want to share some of these things that I've heard, and it's been eye-opening to me. It has, even as somebody who feels like I've got a decent, you never want to be. There's always room to learn. There's always a realization that, there's nuance out there. There's perspective. There's delusion that sometimes you just can't appreciate until you fully encounter it. And I've encountered it a couple times, and I want to share that with you because I think it's important to understand really what we're up against. And it gives me the opportunity to share something with you that I've been working on for some time that I think you'll like to hear. Anyway, that's where we're headed in this program today. My friends, one of the biggest challenges that we as conservatives have is finding ways to ensure our values align with the things that we do in our lives. And that includes how we invest our money. That's why I love what the team at 4-8 Financial is doing. They specialize in biblically responsible investing. That means they screen out companies that do not align with your faith, your values, so that you're not funding things that go completely against what you believe in. They do the heavy lifting. They help align your investments with your purpose and your goals. And candidly, the starting point is simply to take an assessment with what you have today. You don't have to change anything. All you have to do is take the assessment, answer some questions. It's quick and it's easy, and it will give you a report. 4-8 Financial will get you a report to show you just how aligned your investments are with your values. You can take that assessment at 48financial.com/Todd. That's 48financial.com/Todd. 4-8 Financial, because our money should work for our values. I posted a clip of this program. I post several clips a day. We posted a clip, and we're using Facebook and Instagram. If I may, for just a moment, let me go back in time. I shared at the beginning that we have spent most of our efforts in reaching people on the radio, terrestrial radio. That's old-fashioned, over the airwaves radio stations. It is digital online radio stations and our podcast. That's how we reach most people. People that listen to talk radio, people who listen to podcasts, they are accustomed to listening to long-form audio, right? So it's not just a 15 or 30-second clip, a minute clip. It's the entire program. It's the entire program, beginning to end, that they can listen to, or as much as they consume on their drive to work, on their exercise, walking the dog, doing work in the garden, whatever, housework. People listen, doing different things. And so we've invested a lot of our effort and time there because it's still where most people consume this. So that's where we've been. And so I shared that we started in a bedroom closet, right? I shared that. My wife's closet in our bedroom. And so this didn't start out as some massively funded, big financial backer thing. This started as a dream of mine. And I won't go through all of that at this moment, but I will tell you that the dream to do this was planted in my heart in 1999. That sounds made up, but it's the truth. 1999, I was listening to Rush Limbaugh when I was a horse farm manager, having just graduated from Butler University and having no idea what I was going to do with my life, because the two things that I had sought to do, one, which was enlist, go through the military academies. I was medically disqualified after having been selected and getting my congressional nominations. I was looking at going to the United States Naval Academy, but was medically disqualified. So that was gone. The next thing that I decided was, well, maybe I should be an attorney, go to law school. And I was kind of on the path to pursuing that. Was in a pre-law program. Loved the program. I've shared stories about this. This is when I went to American University, Washington, D.C. And it was me versus the class many, many days. Me versus a lot of liberals. I loved those arguments, but I just didn't think that God wanted me to be an attorney. And so I graduated the next year, not knowing what I was going to do. And I won't bore you with the details of how I went from that point to here, all of the twists and turns, and the story's still being written here for us, just as it is for you as well, my friends. But all these things that got us to this particular point, this particular opportunity. And as you think about these things, and as you begin to grow even further, which again, I said that we spent most of our time on the radio, so we've certainly encountered people who don't like us. For example, we'd always had some presence on social media, but it wasn't very big. I wasn't very good at it, or we couldn't quite find the recipe. And candidly, growing during the Biden years, especially during COVID and after January 6th, we got hammered because we were asking questions about some of these things. And that was deemed unacceptable by the Democrat Party power brokers, the leftists, the people on the left running what I used to call the 7 pillars of propaganda. These are battlefronts in the cold Civil War: technology, government, media. And so I've, on several occasions, you ebb and flow, you make adjustments. We've expanded our reach on radio, and we're on 20-some stations now. But here recently, we've made another attempt to grow on social media. And so we started posting clips. One of them's gone viral, and literally our account, as a percentage, it's still small. We still just have a little over 5,000 followers. But as percentages go, the amount of growth we've had even in the past week is astronomical. And I would invite you, if you've not, you're missing the opportunity to see some of these insane remarks that I'm about to talk about. But follow us on Facebook if you're there, or Instagram. Those are our two primary channels. We post shorts on YouTube as well. We've just not had as much traction there. But Facebook seems to be the place that's found our audience. And it's also found the people that's infuriated by my mere existence and my uttering these thoughts and ideas. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that I've seen here. And one of the things I want to share is I use what is called hyperbole. Not every not in every instance, but hyperbole is a tool of, you could say, exaggeration to make a point. So there's a clip I have posted on Facebook that I believe it's the one that went viral or most viral for us. And I made a comment, and I was simply illustrating the absurdity of what Europeans had been told about the United States of America prior to coming here for the World Cup. Now, you may have seen, I've talked a little bit about this, you may have seen on social media platforms, the amount of people from Europe in particular, but other places too, but mostly Europeans who have come to this nation who say, we just can't even, we've been lied to about this country. This country is amazing. They've experienced so much of in their time here for the World Cup. They've seen the beauty of this country. They've experienced the differences even between the 50 states. You know, a lot of European, I don't want to say a lot, but there's certainly a category, maybe it is a lot, of Europeans who candidly look down their noses at Americans because Americans are, they don't travel outside of the country, say like Europeans do. But once you arrive here and you realize the sheer size and scope of this country, the diversity of the topography, the landscapes, right? We've got the Rocky Mountains. You've got, I mean, my goodness, you got the Pacific Northwest. You've got the desert Southwest. You've got the beaches of Florida and in the Southeast. You've got the Great Plains. You've got, some big cities, New York City. You've got Boston and the history there and in the Northeast and all of these things. You got the national parks. And they're realizing that, maybe Americans aren't as stupid and backward as we think that they are. And I made a comment that said, you've been told, it's clearly hyperbolic. Anybody who takes this literally, I don't know how to help them. And I said they convinced you, or actually said, I was talking from their perspective. I said something like, they told me that I had a 50% chance of dying in a gunfight if I went to the United States of America. Clearly hyperbolic, but the truth is there. I exaggerated it to make a point because they ratchet it up. See, they act like this country is very dangerous. And there's certainly, by the way, there certainly are places that are dangerous. There are places where there is a lot of gun violence, but it's in certain cities primarily. It's oftentimes used in gang violence. Most of America doesn't suffer from these sorts of things. And Europeans, the narrative there is, guns are evil. You don't get to have a gun to protect yourself. This idea of the Second Amendment is foreign. America's like the Wild West, and so they basically hyperbolically here. I said that they have a chance, that they've convinced them that there's a 50% chance. If two of them got on an airplane and landed in America, the media had convinced them that one of them wasn't coming back. And it's hyperbolic. I don't understand hyperbole. I read the words of Scripture, and I read, when Jesus is teaching, and he often uses something called parable. And he uses stories to teach a lesson, to communicate a point. And I find it fascinating, these same people that say, oh, well, you said 50% of people dying to guns or from guns in the United States, then you're lying. It's remarkable. It's not. Listen, a lie is communicating something with the intent of misleading somebody, of getting them to believe something that isn't true. I use the hyperbole sometimes, not even all the time, but sometimes to illustrate how ridiculous the lies that are being told on the other side. And I hear people say, well, then you're just lying in return. It is, I can't help that person. I can't help that person. You know, I'm thinking about things in the Bible. The Bible tells us if our eye causes us to sin, we're better off to gouge it out than to let it send us to eternal damnation. And there is a truth there, right? There is a truth there that says anything is better than eternally being separated from God. But that's not a literal instruction for people to go out and gouge their eyes. When Jesus tells a parable, and when he says there was a man or a woman, and he tells a story, it doesn't mean that literally happened, but he's communicating a truth nonetheless. He's using the story. It very well could be that these things literally happened because God could do that if he wanted to. But the point is that even if it's not a literal story, people with any amount of sense understand the story is communicating the truth. And you don't get caught up in the details of a story to illustrate a point to say, well, that's not really what happened. Well, that's not what he's trying to communicate. He's not trying to give you an historical narrative. He's trying to teach you a lesson, and he's using metaphor. He's using comparison. He might use something like he might make use drama to illustrate a point, not to deceive. And it is remarkable to me how far from that some people are. So Facebook is growing. I invite you to join us there, Todd Huff Show. This also leads me to want to share with you something else I've been working on behind the scenes here that I want to give you an update on, that I'm excited about. You'll be the first to know about this. In fact, I haven't even fully told my wife this yet. But you'll be the first to know. So I want to talk about that here as we get into the latter part of the program. My friends, let's be honest. When your financial world starts getting a little more complicated, you need more than one-size-fits-all advice. That's where Full Suite Wealth shines the brightest. Their team specializes in working with families and individuals at your level, offering personalized guidance that goes far beyond the basics. From private equity and private credit to options, strategies, and coordinated legal planning, Full Suite Wealth helps you see the big picture and make confident decisions about your legacy. It's all about having a dedicated team to guide you every step so you can focus on what matters most: your family, your goals, your future. If you want real financial confidence in your life, visit FullSuiteWealth.com today. That's FullSuiteWealth.com. Build your legacy, secure your future. My friends, quick time out here on my end. We'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back, my friends. When did we lose the ability to have conversations and to share opinions about even contentious issues in this country? When did we lose the ability to do that? I don't think it's hard. I understand. I do think that people are volatile today, but I don't think it's hard to share these ideas, to communicate with someone in a setting, even when they might disagree with me. I don't understand why some people, I do to a point, but not to the level that we're at today. People they've lost their ever-loving minds here today, and they put up a bunch of barriers and obstacles, even to listening to people on the other side. And a lot of these things are fresh in my mind because I'm going to tell you something that I've been working on. In fact, I'm almost done with the manuscript of a book that I've been working on. And I've mentioned on here before that we were planning to write a book. But this book that I've been working on has some of these things front and center in my mind. And, as I have a particular way that I go about doing this, I'm a verbal processor. That's why I do a podcast. That's why when we do things that are written, if you pay attention, I think you would notice that I write something how I say it. I'm a verbal first communicating guy. And there's reasons for that. I like in verbal communication, especially in person, or if you're watching on video, I guess that's the next best thing. If you're only hearing my voice, that's a wonderful thing, but it's you're missing, facial expressions and body language, but you can hear from my tone. I can deliver words in a certain way to make sure that that when it hits your ear, you understand a part of how I'm using that word. Large percentages of communication is nonverbal. It's not just the words that we're using. It's our facial expressions, our body language, our tone is a big part of it, right? We've all been told, I don't like that tone. I was told that quite a bit as a child, and as I've had my own children, and they've gotten older, I've gotten a dose of my own medicine a few times with them as well. But this book is important to me because we're in the midst of a cold civil war, and at the core of this fight, there are 8 battlefronts. In fact, I used to say 7. I've added an 8th, and it actually something that as I was putting this manuscript together, which I just have one more chapter of the manuscript to write. But as I was putting it together, it became clear to me that there's not 7. There's an 8th battlefront that we're fighting this cold civil war on, and we got to win this thing. By the way, people want to know when some of this over the top dramatics and this super high temperature is going to end. It's when one side wins the battle. Now, there's always going to be some people, but when or if and when someone wins this battle, that changes the landscape. But we're in a fight for control, survival of this constitutional republic. And I don't want to overstate it, but I think that's clearly where we are. This nation was founded upon ideas, and these ideas are what made America great. We're not genetically superior or anything like that. We have simply learned, our founders learned, how things best work this side of heaven. And liberty is a big part of that. Liberty, our framework for the Constitution, this representative government, all these things, the consent of the governed versus the power of the people running the government. It was flipped on its head here. We're citizens, not subjects. I've talked about all this. I'll talk about this in the book as well. But the point here is that we have to win. And if this country's made great because of an idea, it only stands to reason that if we deviate from that idea enough, our greatness, what we've accomplished, what this country has become over the course of 250 years now, it will eventually not be great any longer. And it pains me to say that because I love this country with every fiber of my being. This is a wonderful place. There's certainly people that use their liberties and freedoms for evil. There's no doubt about that. But this country is still a place of opportunity. It's still a shining city on a hill. But we've got to make sure that it stays that way. And so we engage in this battle. And as we engage in this battle, and as I talk about the different battlefronts and what has to be done to win this, things that we can do practically, that you can do, that anybody can do. As I think about it, part of it is we have to look at the landscape, and we have to say some of the people who currently disagree with us today, we're going to have to persuade at least some of them. You have to persuade all of them. It's not that dramatic, but we're going to have to persuade some of them. And when you start looking around and you find individual people who are on the other side, it's rare to find somebody who hasn't turned into some of these, who hasn't resorted to some of these tactics or turned into some of these types of figures that are just simply toxic and full of rage and vitriol. Again, go to your favorite Facebook page or comment section where people talk about these things, my Facebook page, and you won't be looking for long to find people who call little old me, some guy with a microphone, a dream, and some beliefs and ideas, how quickly they'll call this guy, you name it, Hitler, Nazi, fascist, pedophile. It's remarkable, my friends. But it goes to show just the level of vitriol and anger and rage. They don't even know what they're mad about. They don't know why they dislike me. They just don't like hearing something that's not what they're being fed every day through the sources, through the media, through the echo chamber where they live. But we're going to have to persuade some people. We're going to have to do that. There's just no doubt about it. We're going to have to win elections. We're going to have to make sure that we don't lose. We've lost in the world of entertainment for so long, right? Entertainment's full of leftists. Media is full of leftists. We have to begin to change that. And you know what? We have been. People have been engaging in these areas. There's practical things that we can do. So I've been working on this book, and I'll tell you my process. Again, I told you I'm a verbal processor. So I put my headset on, with my little microphone or whatever that I can talk into. And once I have my outline done, I will record for 45 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes. And those become the chapters of the book, the ideas. They're getting massaged out. And so I'm at the point where we're about done with the manuscript. So we're not far from it. We're not far from it at all. And it's been a project of mine. It's been a dream of mine to do this for some time. And there's reasons for it. Those reasons are similar to why I started this program. This nation, we are better off from a materialistic standpoint. And I'm not trying to make materialistic people, but we have comforts. We have good things. We have opportunity. We have freedom. You can go out there and you can try virtually anything. You can seek out your dreams and ambitions. You can encourage your children or raise your kids as you see fit. And there's certainly obstacles and challenges along the way, but these things can be taken from us in an instant. And compared to people who have lived on this planet, we have it better off in a physical sense, a materialistic sense, than 99% of the people. And I know that you might be going through personal hardship now. You might be going through relationship strain, divorce, loss of a loved one, sickness, disease, financial problems, bankruptcy, business problems, whatever, legal problems. I'm not minimizing those. What I am saying, those things exist everywhere. But this country is a wonderful place, and it's hanging in the balance. And we're going to have to do something to save it. Friends, if you're dealing with discomfort, you're tired of living off prescriptions and managing those side effects, you're not alone. A lot of folks are looking for something natural they can trust. That's why I want you to check out Christopher's Organic Botanicals. They partner directly with farmers in Indonesia. They lab test everything before it ever reaches your hands. No hype, no synthetics, no funny business, just the real deal done right. Real Kratom is tested. It's responsibly sourced. It's not synthetic garbage. That's where you get these horror stories where they're selling things that are not even real Kratom. But you can get real Kratom at Christopher's. Start with their Kratom Starter Pack. Coupon code Todd Huff will save you 10%. Visit Christopher'sOrganicBotanicals.com. That's Christopher'sOrganicBotanicals.com. Truth, tradition, transparency. Time out for me. Back in just a minute. Welcome back, my friends. Third final segment here was talking about, last segment, a new project that we have working on a book. I should tell you, if you want to, if you're interested in getting that book when it's finished, and it's not too far from that point, you can text book. You can text the word book to 317-785-1030, and we'll make sure you know that when it's available or when we're taking orders for that. It's something that I've, again, looked forward to for some time, and I'm excited. I'm excited to get this thing out there. So that's what I want to make sure that I share with you. Friends, Are you tired of spending hard-earned money at businesses that turn around and support leftist causes? Well, if you are, that's exactly why we created Freedom Marketplaces, a free searchable directory of businesses that share your conservative values, businesses that have vowed not to support leftist candidates, leftist causes. There's no login required, no strings attached, just good patriotic businesses pushing in the same direction you are. Check it out today, freedommarketplace.net. That's freedommarketplace.net, liberty and business for all. So, in closing here in this last segment, I guess where I am today is at this place in my mind where we have, where I want to say thank you for helping us grow the radio show and podcast. I want to invite you to take the next step with us into the digital world. If you've not followed us over at Facebook, you can do that. You'll be entertained, I am almost certain. And you can grow with us there as well, helping us reach more people. Again, our message here, the mission here, I should say, is to help people hear and receive truth. So you can be involved there. And then, of course, with the book, we're just taking this program into new areas, and I'm inviting you to join us. Welcome you to do that. Of course, you might be one who just says, "Hey, I'm a listener on the radio." That's totally fine as well. We're all different. We're all different people. But I will say this: I have a major desire to see this country saved. I mean, we're in a major predicament. Yes, we won an election in 2024, and yes, that's very good and very important. But we have a lot of work to do. We have a whole lot of work to do. And so we're going to have to band together. We're going to have to engage wherever we are. We all have our own strengths, weaknesses. We all have things that we're good at, naturally better at, some areas of deficiency, whatever. But we're all going to have to band together here for the survival of this country. There are people, listen, this cold civil war is the time to fight it. Because what happens next, and you've seen skirmishes already. You've seen the assassination of Charlie Kirk. You've seen President Trump shot, nearly killed, struck in the ear. There's other politicians who've been murdered, Democrats as well. This is we can't have that. We have to solve this through the methods that the founders established for us to maintain a society that has self-government, right? Representative government, not a pure democracy. And there's a lot of ways to fight this. And there's going to be a lot of arrows. And that's okay. That's okay. I would tell you, when I started this program, I was never fearful. But it was very important to me that I wasn't misunderstood in the early days. And I don't want to be misunderstood now, but you have to understand that, look, some people don't want to understand you. Some people want to intentionally misrepresent what you say, what you believe, who you are. And it's because they don't agree with you. They want to take you down. You know, I've had people who've literally tried to harm our business and our ability just to do this show. Listen, come at me to disagree. Explain why you disagree. Explain why you're wrong. Or excuse me, why I'm wrong. Truth is, you have to explain why you're wrong as well, because you will be. Kidding. Just take it easy. But this idea here that we should go scorched earth on anybody who has a different viewpoint than us, especially a viewpoint that is central to the founding of this nation, is a wild place to be. This isn't going away. I remember I've shared this before in 2016. I remember people saying, I can't wait until this election's over so we can get back to normal. And I said, respectfully, that is beyond naive. Respectfully, it's beyond naive. We're in the midst of a cold civil war. We've been here for a long time. It's the intensity of this thing is ratcheting up. And the only way through this is victory. The only way through this is to win this battle. I've shared this with you, friends. If you're, I would say no matter what your age, but specifically if you're 30, 40 plus, you have to accept that for the rest of your life, you're going to have to fight for your country. Reagan said, freedom is always just a single generation away from extinction. We have to make sure that the next generation understands what it is, accepts it, and carries that torch of liberty throughout their phase of history. And too many of us have been asleep at the wheel for a long time. Not most of you because you're engaged, but we've got to win this thing. And I've got to go. Have a great day, my friends. Thanks for listening, SDG.